Good evening and welcome to the Simply Colorful FiberCast. Today's date is March 10th, 2017. I do that every time. It's the third month. I should know this by now. My name is Lynn Marquardon and I'm your host. Welcome and welcome to our third clue of our 12-week row by row mystery. We're making the crossroads block. I hope you'll join me. If you don't want to make this block, grab a project and sew with me for 60 minutes because what we say here on FiberCast is it's amazing what we can accomplish together in 60 minutes. So welcome. This, as always, is just a virtual sewing bee. Send me your texts, post them online on Simply Colorful, the Facebook page, the Mystery Quilt-A-Long, or send them to lmarquardont@gmail.com, your pictures, and we'll get to them throughout the hour. We are doing paper piecing. And now as I'm sitting here, honestly, for the first time, I'm thinking that I was supposed to send Sue Norton a link to see if she wants to hang out. So here's what I'm going to do just for a second before I get started. So everyone, grab a pencil and paper. If you don't have the clue and you want to make this crossroads block, grab a paper and pencil. And meanwhile, I am going to try to send a link. Nope, I can't do it. Well, you know what? Sue, we'll do it next week. I know what you're thinking. Oh, she just doesn't want to give up the limelight of FiberCast. Ay, ay, ay. What a week. Okay, let's get to quilting. And this is like yoga for those of us who work all week, right? And even for those of us who volunteer all week, whatever we're doing. What we're going to do, first step, is I'm going to read you the beginning of the clue. And I have to pull out my clue. This is good pod, huh? Can you see? I got myself an ironing table right for the top here. Okay, clue 3. Depending on what size you make, it depends how many of these blocks you want to make. The actual crossroads block is 9 by 9 finished. So that means it's 9.5 by 9.5 inches when it's unfinished. Then we're going to put a sashing on it. Done with the sashing on two sides, it'll be 12 inches. So that means it'll be 12.5 by 12.5 each square. You're going to make the number of squares depending on how big of a quilt you want. If you're making a crib size quilt, you only need to make 1. Alternatively, if you want to make a twin, you make 2. For a double and a queen, you make 3. And for a king, you make 4. So you can see up at the top, I did the purple here. That's for my king size cool fabric quilt. The bottom is the first of my 3 warm fabric quilts that I'm making to make a double. So I like paper piecing for this particular project because some of the triangles are literally 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. And it just gives a nice crisper look. You can decide to do it any way you want. The clue that's on Patreon has 3 options. It has rotary cuttering options and it also has the template option. You can do all 3. I'm going to do paper piecing here. I'm going to show you that. And I've also posted the 2-page paper pieced pattern on the Simply Colorful Mystery Quilt-A-Long on Facebook. So, and for those of you who have seen the clue, you see that it's not very specific. Meaning, first, all I did was printed out 2 pages worth of paper piecing pieces. There are 11 of them here. Then what I do is I laid it out and I looked in my stash for the oranges. I'm doing this one in oranges. And let me see if I can get it up here without tipping my dolls over. I wanted to show you I've been making some more friends for my It's a Party doll. And I'm supposed to have them all done by 9:30 tomorrow morning. Unless I pull an all-nighter, I don't think it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. So I wanted to show you my progress so far, and I will continue to make them. One's going to be a boy and one's going to be a girl. And they've been really fun, and there's so much further to go. Okay, But let's get back to our crossroads. So I lay these out, my patterns out, and I decided to make the circle on the outside in the darker fabric and then do a lighter lattice in between, in the background. So first I picked out my dark colors and I lay them out where I know the dark colors have to go on these 11 pieces. And then I guess I have 2 of those. I'll put that and that, okay? Then what I do is I know that I have the light pieces, the lattice. And so I cut out, they're big. Again, with my paper piecing method, I waste a lot of fabric, but I like doing it this way. It works for me. So put those out. Then, okay. I have another block behind me. I forgot to cut some of the background fabric that I have to sew in here. So I'm going to use some pieces from my other block and I'll replace it. You didn't need to know that, but that's what I'm doing. I don't think we're going to get through more than 1 block tonight anyway. Okay, so I'm laying these out where they need to go. Goes there. And this is just so that I know I have all my pieces. Then you're going to see I'm going to dump this all off. This is for my sashing. Those 2 I'm going to put over there. And then there are some small pieces that I need light orange for. So I'm going to place those where they're needed. And this is where I found I didn't have a whole lot of selection in my cupboard. That was kind of too bad. Okay. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Then there are little teeny tiny background triangles. So I need 2 of those 8 times. And I put those where they go. This is really forgiving, as you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I have my fabric. Now what I do is I bring it over here. We're going to use this cutting board a lot after we do our paper pieces. So see how I have all my, and I'm just doing 1 block at a time. It's very fun, actually. It's satisfying. You can get 1 block done. Okay. So there. And now I cut my 11 pieces up, and then I do string piecing. And this is where we talk to each other about our weeks and how we got through them. It snowed here last night, here in the northeast of the United States, and yet crocus were up around the street. I think I told you last week. I've seen snowdrops up. I felt bad. I saw the snowdrops over at Tower Hill 2 weeks ago, or last weekend. I forget everything. Oh yeah, I haven't told you. I went to the Tower Hill Botanical Garden last Saturday. It was so cold. The wind was whipping, but boy, was that a beautiful place in Boylston, Massachusetts. We went to a camellia show. A friend of mine invited me. She's a member of the garden, and that was fun. Okay, so now I have these 11 pieces. And then what we're going to do is randomly, I pick one up and I take a light square, I put it on the back, and then I take my background fabric and I line it up and I sew. Now the pattern has them all labeled, like A1, A2, A3. You can start there. Having done it a few times, I've discovered I don't need to do that anymore. So I just randomly pick these up And what I like is I sew away, and then all of a sudden they all come together. Like this one has D1, D2, D3, D4. So I'm going to put D2 and D1 together like that. FiberCast really isn't a training show. We've talked about that in the past. We started, wow, back in 2014, just as a way to kick off the new year, get through the winter doldrums, have something fun to look forward to at the end of the week. And 4 years later, and we have still found that it is therapeutic, and we like it. And I thank you all for being here and sharing this with me. And it's only because you are telling friends and sharing the news that we can keep doing Simply Colored by FiberCast. So thank you. Okay, so we just keep going along. See, I'm string piecing, so I'm saving thread. And I said it before, but I'll say it again. My email address is where to send a note or a picture. What are you working on tonight? And my email address is L for my first name, Lynn, and then my last name, Marquidant, MarQuedant at gmail.com. Oh boy. Okay. Shout out to KB, who has had a good work week. She got a special recognition at work. That was great news to hear, KB. Even if it doesn't come with money, although it should, it's nice to be recognized for all your efforts. Okay, so we're making progress. I know it doesn't look it, but we are making progress with all of our strings. Like I say, all of a sudden it's just going to pop together. Actually, maybe I could do 2 of these pieces. Let's see. I think what's going to hold me up on my dolls here is that the paper clay has to dry, which is a bummer. And I can't really, I have one of those, I have a convection oven that I remember my mother laughing at. The fact that I had my own convection oven just for my clay. But the problem is it's not big enough to hold these big dolls. You can put little pieces in. Okay, I think we're about ready to go. Start at the beginning. And then this is where, oh, and I said I was going to go slowly. So for those of you who may not be as familiar with paper piecing, I do a very scrappy form of paper piecing. Carol Doak, on the other hand, is very precise. Jen Sorensen from A Quilted Jewel is very precise. There are special rulers that have lips on them so that you can trim this off exactly at 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. I just do it by eye. I fold back the paper and I cut it. And then I finger press that open. And now I'll put the other one on. And there we go. So let's do that again. Here's one of our small triangles that's going to fit in the corner. And I've sewed 2 pieces together. Now what I'm going to do is fold back the paper. And I realize the camera's far away so that you could see the design well. So there's that. I open it up, I finger press, and now it's ready for the other side. Here's another shape, same thing. See how I have a bigger than a 1/4 inch seam? You guys know how to do this now. I just trim it up, fold it back out, finger press it open, and go put, in this case, D3 on. The reason why it's good for each individual paper piece that are numbered, definitely follow those numbers. There's a reason for it, which is when you're overlapping fabric, sometimes you have to sew one on first before the other in order for the overlap to work out in the pattern. So there's another one. Now, actually, if this is hot, because this is bigger, I'm going to give this, there we go, little press. And let's do this one. No, it needs to be a light. This block is incredibly forgiving. Even if your pieces don't align exactly, it still looks like a ring and a lattice, and lots of crossroads. See? And then we just put this piece. It's going to come together very, well, somewhat quickly now. How about I'll do 2 more, and then I'm going to see who's out there. Okay, so here's another big one. This one is B1, B2, B3, B4. And I actually did B2 and B3, but that's okay on this particular one. I can go do B1 now. I know I'm not going to have any overlap issues. Oops. Okay, one more, and then we'll see who's out there. I'm loving seeing the pictures on the mystery quilt along. Ann Hayward, I love your scrappy blocks. Your t-shirt's on its way to the Channel Islands, no less. They couldn't give me an exact date when it would be delivered, but I have the tracking information, so I'm confident. It went via U.S. Postal. And all right, so let's see who's out there. Hey. I must not have my dinger on. I didn't hear any of these beeps. Aw, Chris Myers, hi. I hope you're feeling better. Take it slowly, drink lots of fluids. I'm glad you're out there. Kelsey, if you're out there, drink lots of fluids. Chris says, watching you live. Hi, FiberCasters. Finally perking up a bit tonight. Aw, thank you. And Jean, Jean, our other Hopkinton maker, has Chronicle contacted you yet? Okay. Jean just wrote, sorry, I had to read something else. She says, watching while totally flip-flopping and reorganizing my sewing room. No way. Jean has her basement is her sewing room. She has a double closet full of fabric, actually, and it's a closet that has shelves on either side. I went over there, when was it, a few months ago, to get some gold fabric for one of my niece's quilts, and it is fun. And she has all sorts of different things, a studio cutter, the Go cutter, and machines, and oh, I can't wait to see it. Oh, and she has a big screen TV in the corner. We watched Slow Knitting, that Norwegian show, and she's been telling me about other shows. Anyway, she says, what a disaster. No, remember, it gets all scrolled up, but then it'll all look neat again. And she says, are you going to see the girls' playoff game? Absolutely, I am. I'm going with the whole family tomorrow night. So here's the deal. Here in our town, our girls' varsity basketball team, Jean's daughter is there, hurt her knee, so hasn't been playing much, but she's on the team. And a couple of my nieces, Bob's and my nieces, one of whom has broken her ankle. So anyway, it doesn't matter who's hurt. Bottom line is they have won all but one game this season, and they are in the, I don't even know, is it the finals or semifinals? It's a playoff game, and they've won a couple of them, I think. So yes, to answer your question, we'll be there. And before that, I have to go to my doll club. And then after that, on Sunday, I am driving down to see a high school friend in Connecticut whose daughter was selling Girl Scout cookies, and I bought a truck full of them, and I thought it would be a great excuse to go visit. So I'm taking a Sunday road trip to pick up Girl Scout cookies, and we'll see how much of the truckload makes it home. Kidding. I'm kidding. You're going to keep me honest. I'll tell you how many boxes. 11. One of which was going to be donated to, I think, the vets overseas. It was going to be sent overseas. Maybe I'll leave a few more. Anywho. Oh, and I'll definitely bring some to next week's retreat. We are having our annual quilting retreat that Jean and Kelsey have planned from beginning to end, which I know is a big job, especially when you're not doing it at a venue. We're doing it over at a barn, Becky's Yellow Barn over in Holliston. She's been gracious enough to open up her back barn. It's a studio. It's beautiful. It was a design studio. And we'll be doing that next weekend, and that's where I'll be broadcasting from. So you're going to see all the marathon quilters that you've seen, I think, almost every year since we started. So that will be fun, and I am going to invite everyone to come show their work and say hi to our FiberCasters. If you've never been to a quilting retreat, I highly recommend it. Put it on your bucket list. Or any sort of an art retreat, or just a different venue to get away and be creative with other people who enjoy being creative. It is good for the soul. Who else is out there? I love that you guys are out there. Hey, Deb. Hi, Deb. Do you see any of your fabrics? I bet that looks familiar. And I bet this one looks familiar. Deb, as you might recall, gave us just baskets of scraps, all color-coded, 2.5-inch strips. So Jean and everyone be thinking about what we should do with them. Some sort of a charity quilt of some sort. Anyway. Deb says, I'm looking forward to making these blocks tomorrow. She says, I had today off and I sewed all day. Deb finished a quilt top for the new baby, made a lined valance and 4 pillows for Emerson's big girl room, and made a boppy cover. Really enjoying this pattern. Very fun to sew. Take care. Aw, Deb. Wonderful. Wow, that must have been a great day. Ding. Hello, Maureen out in Pennsylvania. She says, I'm also cleaning up my craft room. Then I can start all over again. I know. Maureen, you know, that reminds me, when Deb and Carol came over, we were talking about our sewing spaces and how it would be so fun to see everyone's sewing space. So Maureen, let me know if you have a PC set up in your new sewing room after you rearrange it, and maybe you can do a hangout with us. Good for you. Although, Maureen has posted her beautiful space. She made some really nice curtains for it. And I think you repainted the whole thing. So yours it should be in pretty good shape, right? Carol, hi. Speaking of Carol, she says, hi, Lynn and FiberCasters. I hope everyone had a great week. She says, you are keeping me company tonight as I continue to rip out my many errors from our open sew the other weekend. Aww. She says, keep sewing and I'll keep ripping. Aww. Aww, Carol. And those blocks were beautiful. Aww. One thing that I love about Carol's quilts that I've seen so far is you stick to the repetition and it works. And I find that I have a hard time sticking to the same set of fabric clearly, right? Because I've got all these different scraps. It's hard for me to make the same block with the same fabrics over and over again right now. I'm sure I'll go back to that, but that's what struck me about your quilting. So keep it up and keep on ripping. I have mine here. I did that. I definitely have been ripping out. Okay. I'm glad you're out there, and I'll see you tomorrow night, Carol. Cheryl F. I'm trying not to say last names. Cheryl says, happy Friday. Oh, she says, I had fun at Joann's again tonight. I needed all new rulers. Ooh, listen up, everyone. This is a tip. Joann's has a good sale and coupons, so she stocked up. That's right, they do. She says, my mystery quilt is looking great. Hello, fellow FiberCasters. Happy Friday from Cheryl in Wilmington, Massachusetts. My goodness, we're close. You're going to have to come to our first Simply Colorful gathering. Oh, look at your rulers. I love it. I know you can't really see this, but it's just a pile of brand new rulers from Joann's. No scratches. Very nice. And good tip. Thank you for letting me know about the coupon. Oh, Diane. Hello, out on the West Coast. Diane says, yikes. That's the topic. She says, yikes. Okay. Okay, this is good. She says, she's lost on the paper piecing. So I'm so glad you wrote in because we are going to figure this out, girlfriend. She says, how do you know where to put the background fabric within the pieces? Okay. On the original pattern, take a look at the block, the Crossroads block. And the very light white is background. So maybe take, if you have a highlighter or something, highlight wherever is going to be the background. So it's these little triangles here in the corner. It's one big square in the middle. And then it's these four long rectangles in the triangles. Then go to the paper piecing pattern and maybe even pull this off, right? And then see this triangle right up in the corner? I hope you can see that. Make a note. So B3 and B1, whatever on your pattern is pure white, that's your background, and highlight that. H3 and H1 are your background. G2 is your background. A4 is your background. So it's these lightest. And you can literally either take a highlighter, I know I'm using a pencil, or you can write in background, 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 right? So this main piece right here is this piece right here. And you see that's background, that's background, that's background, 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 background. So then once you've then kind of study it and figure out, okay, every time there's the very lightest here, I'm going to use my background fabric. And let me show you what I mean. So let's say, pull out your pull this one out if you can. It says D1, D2, D3, and D4. The D1 and D3 are going to be your background fabric. The D2 is actually the light lattice in the back. So in this case, I took my light lattice and one background and I put it together and I looked up at the light and I made sure that when I sew on the line between D1 and D2, it's going to catch both fabrics and then I'm going to open it up. Similarly, turn it around. The line between D2 and D3 is my light orange and my background. Ooh, my machine's having some problem here. And then I sewed it, and then I take it off and I cut it. And then open it up. And there you have 3 of the 4 pieces of this particular block. And these 2 are the background, these little pieces. This is what the back looks like. Okay, so now I'm going to iron it down. So really the answer is before you even start sewing, maybe write on each piece what either is it a dark or a light or a background. So now I know that across the top has to be a dark. And I line it up like that. I turn it over. So now underneath I have right sides together. And there. You notice sometimes I go back and forth on the ends. I usually don't on paper piecing because the stitches are so small anyway. Now what I've done, so see that? It's now down. Before I pull it up and iron it, I want to trim my seam allowance to 1/4 inch. If these were really little blocks, I'd do it even at 1/8 inch, but I don't need to on these. Or I haven't so far. Open it up, finger press it. And there we have one of our 11 paper pieced pieces. So keep working on that, Diane, and I'll come back in a few minutes. Send me an email and let me know if that helped on deciding where the background fabric goes. Okay, I'm going to keep chugging away so that we can get to the part where we trim this up and put it all together, because that's actually very satisfying to do. See, there's another piece. So there's 1, 2. 3, 4. Oh, I like this. I like standing up at my iron. So I'm doing that. So again, there's another piece. Finger press, then press. See that big seam? I need to cut that away. And I've gotten carried away before and I've cut my fingers, so be careful. I'll show you how I do that. So now I'm just layering another dark piece on top. Oh, I can't wait to see everyone's reorganized sewing rooms. Spring must be coming. I washed a window the other day. I pulled out my squeegee that my mom gave me several years ago. If you don't do your windows with a squeegee yet, go get one. And then I used water and a little vinegar. And I dabbed the window and then I went squeegee down. Now, is it crystal clear and perfect? No, but it sure is a lot better than the rain-splashed dirt of a year's worth of rain-splashed dirt. And then it snows this morning, so go figure. There's that. We are cruising. So here's how I've cut my finger before. I'll do this and then see how I have my fingers here. And I have been known to go across like this and do it so fast. And then somehow I get in here and I clip the piece of my finger. So don't do that. I know none of you would do that. Here's another one. I'll check in to see who's out there as soon as I make all 11 of these pieces. How's that? Okay, I know I'm a little bit out of order here, but as you can see, this is how I sew it all together. Maybe, Diane, if you haven't started yet, or anyone, this big, long centerpiece is a good one to start with. Because it's your pattern, your background, pattern, background. It alternates all the way up and down. Turn my foot pedal around here. Okay. Another one. Here we go, we're getting close. Oh, and I did this one backwards. I don't know if you can see that. I sewed the pieces on backwards so the bottom isn't covered. So I have to redo this. Carol, I'm right here with you, the Ripper. What do people say? The frog. Frogging it, because you rip it, rivet, rivet, rivet. It is a good tool. I'm using a little bit darker thread that came with my, my box of Aurifil thread that I won at the quilt show last fall. Okay, so I need to reposition it. And this is all you do. paper piecing, you definitely are gonna make mistakes and get it disoriented, and you'll find that you'll do different pieces at different times. Hello. Oh, that's my boss. She says, I forgot to follow up on the solution maps. Fortunately, she's only CCing me. Did they go to the designer today? Oh boy, they did. But they're certainly not ready for prime time. That's funny. Okay. And I will get back to her, but not until after FiberCast is over. We have a crossroads block to finish. Okay, there's that. See how this is coming along? Diane, if you have a hard time seeing through the paper, you can hold it up to light, or even a light box if you have that, and you can see where the line is on the back. I found that one of the hardest things to get used to. All righty, we are getting close to being ready for the next step, which is trimming. And that's very satisfying too. Ding. Okay. There's that, and then one more piece here. This one's going to have a lot of plaid in it. Okay. One more on this one, and then we're ready to trim. And there we go. All right. Okay, 10. Okay, that one doesn't even need trimming. Okay, so now we have our 11 pieces all sewn on the paper. Now what we do is we have to trim it up. So put everything aside except for your cutting mat, your cutter, and your ruler. Open it up and trim away. I'll do a couple of these and then I want to check and see who else is out there. If by chance I don't get to you, I will by email or next week. And I did want to welcome Ann as a new Patreon. So look at that. That's all trimmed up. And I know you can't really see this lighter orange, but that's okay. It'll be more subtle in the quilt. There's 10 more to go. You're trimming it up so that you have 1/4 of an inch. Uh-oh, Jean just sent up an SOS. She said I might have too much stuff. Oh, pshaw. Never. Is it all sewing related? If it's all sewing related, it can never be enough. How many of you have made a note in your will, or have written a note or told your loved ones what you want to have done with your sewing material when all is said and done? Or do you not think about that? Do you believe we have to think about that? Okay. Look at this. How fun is that? So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start laying this out and you'll see it come alive. Okay. And if my Aunt Jane happens to be out there, the poet, I think I'm not going to get to another poem this week because of the number of steps on this. And I was thinking next month is poetry month, right? And maybe we could get you on to read some of it. I love reading it, and I love reading it to people, but it would be cool to also hear you read it and hear about your classes that you're teaching. You can decide here which side you want these triangles to go on. That's especially useful if you're doing something scrappy like this. Definitely be careful when you're using these sharp blades. I switched my blade recently. I love it. See, what I mean by this is I can put that little one there, or I can switch it around and do that. I think I liked it the other way. Okay. Oh, thank goodness for FiberCast, everyone. Yahoo! Okay, that's a fun one. And then that, I think, will go there. Okay, maybe that can go there. So what else is new? I just realized I had my flow going there. I was zoning out there and there. Let me finish trimming, then I'll see who's out there. This clue is going to take longer than the last 2 clues. But it's still doable, I hope, amidst everything else we have going on. Okay. Oh, Norma, if you're out there, we are thinking very positive thoughts for your daughter, who I saw has just been diagnosed with is it a lung disease? Very sorry. I hope that the medicine works. Okay. So, yay! We are done. There we go. Now we're just going to have to sew it together. But first, let's see who else is out there. Okay. Hey, Dawn Stewart. Oh, but I can say your name because you're a best-selling author. If you haven't gotten one of Dawn's books, please do. There's tips for quilters, and there's one for anyone who's a program manager or director for your guild and you want ideas for programs. Dawn has a new book on that. It's on Amazon. Dawn Stewart. Dawn says, and that's not why she wrote, I just threw that in. She says, hi from Dawn. She's finishing 2 knitted hats tonight. She says, I wanted to work on the mystery quilt, but I don't have the background fabric yet. She says, I have a certain color in my head, a light aqua. Ooh, nice. But so far haven't located it in our area stores. I may need to change my game plan. Ooh, like a Tiffany aqua, Tiffany box aqua. Ooh, I can't wait to see what you do. She says, I can't wait for the quilting retreat. So many projects I want to work on. Have fun, Dawn. Yes, you too. I look forward to playing with you there. Allie, down under. Hello. Welcome home from all your cruising. Allie says, hi from Australia. She says, good morning from me and good evening to you. She says, it's good to catch you live again. She says, at present, I'm multitasking, writing my travel blog, chatting to Wendy on Facebook. Hi, Wendy. She's at is it a Roosters game? Right, Wendy, celebrating Luke's 18th birthday. I love that you guys connected. She says, and of course, watching you. I finished the 9 sections of the block 3 last night and will press and sew together later. Excellent. She says, hopefully I'll get back to finish Love and Peace mystery quilt after that. I do love our traveling, but there's always a lot to catch up on sewing, but I love that too. She says, have a great week. Love, Allison. And I'm downloading a picture. Oh, look at that. It's Crossroads in green, and I know it's hard to see. Allie, when it's done, I hope you post it on the Simply Colorful Quilt Along mystery page on Facebook. Love that. I love your colors. That's going to be great. Ha 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 ha. Carol Bell, it's late for you. Carol says, I'm making progress, including UFOs. She says, hi, Lynn and Fibercasters. I hope you've all had a good week. Here, the weather has been good, and at the moment, on the way to work, I passed stretches of daffodils, all just coming into flower. They're beautiful and very uplifting. Oh, I bet. She says, I've been working on the row by row blocks this evening, but the paper piecing has slowed me down a little. as I've only got the pieces for about half of my 3 blocks, although I have only been paper piecing the 4 corner blocks. Oh, that's a good idea. So you're only doing these 4 corners. That's a great idea because the rest are just straight. That's a good idea. Anyway, oh, she sends a picture too. I can't wait to show you. She says, this week I managed to finish the piecing for the top of the Bonnie Hunter mystery en Provence. Congratulations. Her quilts are beautiful and lots of pieces. And I have finished one of my UFOs. I made a baby quilt and I finished hand sewing and binding this week. You're amazing, Carol. And look at her crossroads. Carol is going with a very deep purple as her background. So that's going to look so amazing. Love it. Oh, and look at En Provence. I know that you can't really see that, but there are just thousands, literally thousands of pieces. Oh, and here's the baby quilt. Aw. I know you can't really see that. That doesn't work very well, does it? Oh, Sue Norton, I kept looking for the Hangout link. What happened? Did I miss something? No, you didn't. Sue, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that I hadn't sent it to you. Then when we started FiberCast, I can't see that far to type in your address to send you the link. Plus the keypad is over there with the PC, so I couldn't do it. So I'm so sorry. It's my technical error. She says, oh, well, I'm watching now. Nothing really new to show this week. Oh, Sue. And I bet you were ready too. I've posted what I've done so far, printed out the paper piece info when I got home. I'll work on this tomorrow so I have something to share next week. That's a plan. And I promise I will send you the link. And there's Wendy. So one more note, and then I'm going to sew this together. She says, hello, Lynn, and all the FiberCasters out there. I am unable to watch again live because we're away in Brisbane. But she says, I'm excited to get home, though, because Crystal and I have managed to find a couple of vintage singers we can do up and play with. Oh, awesome. She says, I will do my catch up with the row by row when I get home. I love how different everyone's are. It looks like a fun one to do. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you, Wendy. And Sue Norton, I'm a slug. And it seems like I'm apologizing more and more. I have too many things going on. My boss, who texted us, and this is no excuse, she had us on a call until 6 tonight with this merger. We're supposed to now train the other side on all of our offers. So they're doing what they call cascade training. And just a lot to coordinate, you know. And I must tell you, as a quilter, look at what we do. I'm fine coordinating things and lining things up, and that's the easy part. The hard part is merging ideas about how to market products, how to bring things to market, what to say, we don't have a lot of money to do customer research by product per se, you know, like message testing and all that. So now it becomes who can influence and articulate and politic to get their way. That's what it ends up being. So that when we go training sales reps, they can understand what the combined company offers. So it's all good. It's just much easier to make your own quilt, make your own decisions about what color fabric to use. Okay. So now I've switched this up a little bit, and now just make sure I didn't have many light oranges, so I do have to Try to mix it up a little bit. All right, let me sew this together, and then I think we're not even gonna have time for the sashing. But I'm so glad that you all were able to join me. I hope that you enjoyed your 60 minutes. Remember what we always say, even if it was just looking at a magazine or multitasking, maybe you're watching a game and listening to FiberCast. Maybe you're sitting there with someone else with an earbud saying, I've got to listen to FiberCast. Well, I want to thank you for listening to FiberCast. We are so lucky to be able to get together and do this. I do not take it for granted. And I hope you don't either, because there are people around the world with similar interests, just like you, who unwind just like you do, who like nothing better than to see the colors in a quilt store and imagine the possibilities, or feel the fabric in your hands, or the iron, the crease that you can make with an iron. And reach out to each other. Like, I love the fact that Wendy and Allie have become friends in Australia. And let me know if I can help in any way with that. Matchmaking is kind of the wrong word, but you know, if you're not in a guild, definitely get in one. If you have never done a retreat, definitely put it on your wish list. And retreats don't have to be expensive, and they don't have to be anything formally organized. It can be nothing more than looking for a VFW or a school or a church nearby and finding a few people. Oh, this isn't matching up. Glad it's a forgiving block. I have 2 more seams, and then I promise you I will let you go for another week. I think I'm glad the camera's far away on this one. Man, this is not going to be pretty. But it'll still work. This is really fun when you make this all out of paper. It becomes very stiff. And now we have 1 more to sew. Not bad. If anyone heard me talk about yoga and you haven't tried it yet, go to the site Do Yoga With Me and do the 30-day challenge. It'll change your life. It's free. David, the owner, will send you an email every morning with a link to that day's practice. And it is practice. Yoga is just practice for you. And your practice can be unique and not like anyone else's. So with that, let's show off our block and wish each other a good weekend. You see that? Crossroads. Row 3 of our mystery quilt, our Simply Colorful mystery quilt, row by row. I hope you're enjoying the fun. I'll see you next Friday night from the Marathon Quilters Retreat. It'll be St. Patrick's Day, and we'll work on row number 4. So get ready. Have a great weekend, everyone. And thanks for joining. Bye. My mouse is over here. Bye.